There was a different feeling around the club over the last couple of days, and it really came across in the way things have been moving behind the scenes. You could sense it in the atmosphere, in the training clips, and especially in the way the manager spoke when he finally faced the media again. After a period where everything felt tense, guarded, and at times a bit disconnected, this press conference felt like a breath of fresh air. It was calm, open, and more importantly, it felt human. The manager came across as relaxed, articulate, and genuinely willing to engage with what was being asked, which is something supporters have been craving for a while now. It did not feel scripted or defensive. It felt like someone who understood the situation he is in and was comfortable addressing it head on. What stood out straight away was how at ease he seemed compared to those early weeks. Back then, there was a sense that he was still finding his footing, repeating certain ideas without always landing the message clearly. That has shifted. This time, the explanations flowed better, the answers had more substance, and there was a clearer connection between his words and what we have actually seen on the pitch. It is worth remembering that he is working in a second language, yet even with that considered, this was easily his most coherent and confident outing so far. Winning a match does wonders for confidence, and it would be naive to pretend that Sunday's result did not play a massive role in that change of tone. Still, confidence alone does not explain how comfortable he looked handling detailed questions and responding without deflection. He spoke with real satisfaction about the performance at the weekend, particularly praising the competitive edge the team showed. That word came up for a reason, because it is something that has been missing at times during this spell. There was an honesty in acknowledging that, and also a quiet pride in seeing signs of improvement. You could tell he felt the players had finally responded in the way he has been demanding, not just tactically, but mentally. That competitive spirit is something supporters have been desperate to see return, especially during matches where Celtic have looked passive or unsure of themselves. Hearing the manager highlight it felt significant because it suggests he knows exactly where the standards need to be. The conversation inevitably moved towards the January transfer window, with its opening just days away. And this is where things become serious very quickly. The manager made it clear that his current task is to assess the squad properly, to analyze what he has, and understand where improvements are needed. Publicly, that is the right line to take. Privately, though, there has to be urgency. January is not a window where you can afford to drift, especially with the number of matches coming thick and fast. There are several games early in the month where new signings would be expected to contribute immediately, and that means planning cannot wait until the window officially opens. There is an underlying concern that many supporters share, and it is hard to ignore. Trust in the board to move quickly and decisively is not particularly high. History tells us that business is often left too late, with players arriving after crucial fixtures have already passed. That simply cannot happen this time. The squad has obvious gaps, and those gaps have been exposed repeatedly. A lack of depth in attacking areas and ongoing issues on the right side of the pitch are not new problems, and they will not fix themselves without proper backing. If the club truly believes in this manager, then the clearest way to show that belief is by giving him the tools he needs early and without hesitation. When asked about recruitment, the manager spoke about communication and collaboration. He made it clear that player identification will come from multiple avenues, combining the club's existing structure with his own experience. That balance is important. There has to be alignment between what the manager wants and what the club can realistically deliver. More than anything, he stressed that it is not just about spending money for the sake of it. It is about spending wisely, bringing in players with the right mentality, personality, and understanding of what it means to play for Celtic. That message will resonate with supporters who have seen expensive signings fail simply because they were not suited to the environment. He also touched on individual players and their situations, and one name in particular drew attention. He spoke positively about Dyson, making it clear that the player is settled and happy at the club right now. There have been opportunities in the past for him to move on, but for the moment, he remains committed. That is important because even with inconsistent form this season, his energy and work rate remain valuable. When he plays on the left, he brings balance and intensity that few others can match. Even if this turns out to be the final stretch of his time at Celtic, having him focused and involved could make a real difference in the months ahead. What made the press conference enjoyable was not just the content, but the tone. There were moments of humor, relaxed exchanges, and genuine engagement. When asked about where certain players perform best, he answered with a smile and a laugh, showing that he is comfortable enough to keep things light without avoiding the question. That kind of openness goes a long way. Journalists respond better to it, supporters notice it, and it creates a healthier atmosphere around the club. There has been a lot of negativity recently, some of it justified, some of it over the top, and moments like this help calm the noise, at least temporarily. He also spoke about leadership within the squad, drawing an interesting comparison between different types of leaders. Some lead with their voice, others through their actions, and both are needed in a dressing room. That balance is crucial, especially during difficult periods. It was refreshing to hear such a thoughtful breakdown rather than a generic answer. It showed an understanding of personalities and dynamics, which is essential for building a cohesive group. These details might seem small, but over time, they shape the culture of a team. In terms of injuries, there was little to report, which in itself tells a story. No new setbacks, but no major returns either. The squad remains stretched, and that only adds to the importance of the upcoming window. There is also growing curiosity around one key midfielder whose recent absence has raised questions. He came off during a previous match without obvious signs of injury, yet has since been missing from squads and training footage. With no clear explanation offered, speculation is inevitable, especially with January approaching fast. Hopefully it is nothing more than a minor issue, but silence tends to create uncertainty, and that is something the club could do without right now. Overall, there is a cautious sense of optimism beginning to creep back in. One win does not change everything, and nobody is pretending it does. Pressure remains, and it will only increase if results do not follow. The upcoming match is a big one, not because of the opposition's form, but because of what it represents. It is a chance to show that the recent improvement was not a one-off, that standards are rising, and that the team is starting to respond consistently to what the manager is asking of them. A convincing performance would go a long way in reinforcing that belief and carrying some momentum forward into a demanding run of fixtures. As the focus shifts towards the next fixture, the reality of the situation becomes impossible to ignore. This is still a team under pressure, still a manager with very little margin for error, and still a season that feels far more fragile than anyone would like. The upcoming match is not just another league game to tick off the calendar, it is a test of credibility. Livingston may be struggling, but that does not guarantee anything, especially away from home. where Celtic have looked uncomfortable far too often this season. The expectation is clear, though. Anything other than a strong performance and a win will undo much of the goodwill that has slowly started to build over the past week. That is why this moment feels so important. Supporters are desperate for signs that things are moving in the right direction, even if progress is gradual. Nobody expects perfection overnight, but there has to be evidence of structure, effort, and belief. The manager knows this. He understands that one positive press conference and one win do not buy him time. Only consistent results will do that. What he seems to be trying to establish now is a sense of trust between himself, the players, and the supporters, and that trust is earned through actions far more than words. There was also discussion around players who are currently on international duty, and while their minutes were limited, it still matters. Every appearance, every contribution adds to confidence and sharpness. When players return, they come back with experiences that can feed into the squad. That depth, even when spread across different competitions, is something Celtic will need as the schedule becomes more demanding. Fatigue, injuries, and suspensions are inevitable, and the squad must be ready to cope without a drop in intensity. What continues to linger in the background is the question of clarity. Certain situations remain unresolved, and the lack of communication only fuels uncertainty. When players disappear from matchday squads without explanation, it invites speculation that distracts from what is happening on the pitch. Supporters are not asking for every detail, but a basic level of transparency helps maintain focus. The manager has shown he is willing to speak openly, so it will be interesting to see if that continues when more uncomfortable questions arise. There is also the wider emotional context to consider. This time of year brings its own atmosphere, and football clubs are not immune to that. Emotions run higher, expectations feel heavier, and every result seems amplified. A good run of form can lift the entire support, while a setback can drag everything back into frustration. That is why momentum matters so much right now. The players need to feel that they are building something, even if it is fragile, because belief can be the difference in tight moments during matches. Training footage has offered small but noticeable hints of a more relaxed environment. Smiles, laughter, and interaction between players and staff might seem insignificant, but they often reflect a healthier dressing room. When tension eases, decision-making improves, confidence grows, and performances tend to follow. The manager's relationship with senior players will be crucial here. Leaders within the squad have a responsibility to set standards and pull others with them, especially when pressure mounts. Tactically, there are still questions to be answered. Certain positions remain problem areas, and opponents are clearly aware of where Celtic can be exposed. Addressing those weaknesses requires both coaching and recruitment. Until reinforcements arrive, solutions will have to come from within, whether that means adjusting roles, trusting younger players, or asking more from those who have been inconsistent. None of those options are without risk, but doing nothing is not an option either. The atmosphere around the club feels different from a week ago, but that feeling is delicate. It can disappear just as quickly as it arrived. That is why the next few matches carry so much weight. Each game is an opportunity to reinforce the idea that progress is being made, that lessons are being learned, and that standards are rising. Slip-ups will be punished, not just in the table, but in the mood around the club. Supporters want something to believe in. They want to feel connected to the team again, to see effort matched with purpose. Negativity has dominated conversations for too long, and while criticism will always be part of football, there is a clear hunger for something more positive to hold on to. The manager appears aware of that emotional landscape, and his recent demeanor suggests someone who is beginning to feel more at home in his role. As the calendar edges closer to the opening of the transfer window, anticipation will only grow. Every press conference, every team selection, every omission will be scrutinized. Decisions made now will shape the rest of the season. Get them right, and there is still plenty to play for. Get them wrong, and the pressure will intensify rapidly. For now, all eyes turn to the pitch, because that is where answers will ultimately come from, and where the direction of this Celtic side will become clearer in the days ahead. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. Whispers around Parkhead are growing louder, and the name on every supporter's lips is Aaron Ramsdale. According to well-placed sources close to the club, the England international goalkeeper has said yes to the idea of becoming Celtic's new last line of defence, a move that could send a surge of excitement through the green half of Glasgow. Nothing is signed, nothing is sealed, but the feeling is that the pieces are quietly falling into place. The story doing the rounds suggests that Celtic's hierarchy see Ramsdale as the ideal modern keeper for the hoops. Confident with the ball at his feet, vocal in the box, and hardened by years of pressure down south. Insiders hint that talks have moved beyond casual interest, with the player said to be intrigued by the scale of the club, the atmosphere at Parkhead, and the chance to be a leading figure rather than just another name in a crowded squad. From the player's side, the appeal is easy to understand. Celtic offer European nights under the lights, a demanding support that lives and breathes Fitbar, and a gaffer known for trusting his goalkeepers. Ramsdale, still with plenty of prime years ahead of him, is believed to be keen on a fresh chapter where he can feel central to a project, not peripheral. The Scottish Premiership may be different from the Premier League grind, but it brings its own unique pressure, something the keeper is no stranger to. Among the fans, optimism is mixed with caution. Some see Ramsdale as a statement signing, a new paradigm who could anchor the defence for seasons to come. Others urge patience, aware that rumours can fade as quickly as they flare up. Yet, the consensus is clear. If Celtic can pull this off, it would be a bold signal of intent. For now, it remains speculation, the kind that fuels debate in pubs and on the terraces. But as the rumour mill keeps spinning, one thing feels certain. The idea of Aaron Ramsdale in green and white has already captured the imagination of the Celtic faithful. Hello, fan, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.